So the idea, again, is that all the resources that you need are already inside you. You just got to break through the fear. The fear, that's like the prison bars. It's the emergency brake. It's the chains you got to break free from. So those are some things that you can do to break through your fear. And if you can't, and you don't want to come out and join us, do something, and then come back on the call next week, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, I'll bring you on the call, and we'll share experiences. So that's the plan. Now, what I want to do now, the call is at 1 hour, but I reserved a little bit more time. I want to bring on a couple of people here. I think Stephanie's willing to maybe come on and talk about an experience that she had with fear on one of the courses that we did recently. And I just want you to hear from her. I don't know if Valerie's still with us or Charles is still with us. I know, Valerie had the fear of snakes her whole life, deathly afraid of snakes. We were going to have is she with us today? Okay, great. And I don't know if they're willing to be on. I know you guys have got things to do, but if you're willing to stay on for a little bit of bonus time, I want to ask that you do that now. So, Stephanie, you want to go ahead and jump on the call here? Let's wait for her to unmute herself.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for getting on the call. I think the coolest experience that I had when we were out with the Adventure Club was on the free fall with the zip lining, and it was a 100-foot free fall, and there's part of me that's like, you know what, I'm cocky, I can do anything, and when I climbed that 100-foot tower and it was time for me to perform and jump, I couldn't do it, and I wasn't ready to do it. I didn't realize that I had the fear, and that's really what the cool thing is about doing all these different bioenergetic experiences, is that I was unconscious of this fear, and my pride was holding me back from really seeing it. So I went up on the tower, and I couldn't do it. So I actually walked all the way back down the tower, and then this was in like the second week in December, and then around Christmas time or the week after, I'm like, you know what, I want to leap into the new year and face my fear. So we called the place, and we went back down and did a zipline adventure and had a lot more people show up, which was so awesome. And Scott rehearsed with me. We did the techniques and everything, and I walked up the tower. And, one of the things that was different, with the strategy was, typically what I do is I like to go first, and instead I let everybody else go first, and it was because I was scared. It wasn't because, I was doing them a favor, but it was because I was scared. So this time, I changed the strategy. I went right after Scott, and eventually, I jumped. I jumped off. I went off a little bit different than I originally rehearsed, but the cool thing that I learned about that was, you know what, I might not do it exactly as I rehearsed, but the bottom line is I did it. And where I can use that in picking up the phone and calling people or speaking my truth, and it might not come out exactly as I want it to, but it's going to come out, and I'm still going to achieve the outcome that I desired. So it was really awesome. I got a ton of support. So I hope to see you guys maybe out. We're doing the free fall this Sunday, so if anybody's interested in coming out to zipline with us, you can check out. We have a Facebook event page. So thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. And can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure I didn't mute myself out there. So that was an amazing experience to watch Stephanie and break through her fear. Now, when you go back out, there's not going to be any fear that's going to hold you back this time at all, right?
No, I'm going to do it. I'm thinking about it a little bit, like, okay, am I going to do it again? Because I did it twice that day, but what I'm doing is I'm continually rehearsing it. Like, I'm rehearsing it in my head before I go. So activating the support principle and putting it out there, no, I'm definitely going to do it. So.
All right, cool. And since you've done this, I've been watching you, and this new confidence has showed up in your life many times. And it's really amazing to watch. And so I don't know if Charles is able to unmute and hit *6. If you're there, Charles, let me know at any time. But, Charles, we went down to Panama City Beach. And are you there, buddy? I don't know if he's there with us or not. But it's *6 to unmute yourself, Charles, if you're with us. And anyways, Charles was in Vietnam. He was a door gunner in Vietnam and flew around in helicopters, a lot of fearful situations. And, that was, 40 years ago. And fear, it creeps back up on you. And he had the fear of the heights. And we were doing this thing called the slingshot down there where we were shooting straight up in the air 300 feet in about 1.5 seconds. what was that, like 6 Gs, 6 gravity. It's like, a rocket ship. And it shoots you straight up in the air. It's like a reverse bungee jump. And I got to tell you, man, I've jumped out of a plane. I've got about 100 jumps. That thing brought the fear up in me a little bit, too. And so Charles, the first day, he decided, I think I'm not going to do that one. And we went back to the condo that night. We did a few techniques. We did some strategy. We went out the next day, and he did it. So that's what happens a lot of times is you've got to bump up against what you're afraid of. And because that's one of the main problems I see is people are unconscious of their fears. I see so many people that say, oh, I'm not afraid of anything. Their life is filled with fear. They're afraid of what people will think. They're afraid of what people will say. They're afraid of failure, and they don't even realize it. If anybody tells you, I'm not afraid of anything, those are the people that usually have the most fear in their life. And if you're one of those, I just want to let you know it's okay to admit you've got the fear. We all have it. We're human beings. If you're breathing and you're alive, fear is a constant. It constantly creeps into your life. So, I don't know, is Valerie still with us? Is Valerie Taylor, is she on the phone?
This is Charles. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, Charles. Well, so just stay with us, Valerie. And so, Charles, did you hear everything that I was describing?
Yes, I did. And I thought about the second day. I thought about, if I don't do this slingshot ride, I'm going to let myself down. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to have these stories in my head that I was chicken, too afraid. And so I made a decision to step through it and get enough courage to go up to this crazy ride, the slingshot. And after I did that, I got a huge shift. And this
you also got to do something else down there too. You went on the parasail the next day too, didn't you?
Yeah, the parasail was amazing. But I'm skydiving this Friday, and right now I can feel anxiety and fear coming up. And all I know is that I've made a decision to do it. And I think the secret to breaking through your fear is just getting enough courage to do it anyway. And I'm going out that door, and I'm going to do it. It's going to be amazing.
And your daughter's coming, too. It's going to be her first jump as well.
Yeah, and if there ever was an Army Ranger brigade for women, she'd be one of them.
That's cool. I can't wait. I met her one time briefly. She was pretty busy, but I look forward to spending some more time with both of you on Friday.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it, too. Thanks.
All right, so real quick, folks, did you hear what Charles emphasized? He said, make a decision. You remember back earlier in the call, I said there's 3 things that have to happen. Number 1, you have to admit. You have to admit where your life is because you've been living in fear. Number 2, you've got to accept responsibility. You can't blame it on the government. You can't blame it on mom and dad. You can't blame it on your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or girlfriend or your boss or the economy. You've got to take responsibility. And the third thing is you've got to make a decision to break free. That's the third thing you got to do. And the fourth thing is you've got to actually do it. You can't just sit around stuck in your head. You've got to actually do it. So the next person I want you to hear from is Valerie Taylor, and she came around about in September of 2010 to our group. And when I said in January of 2011, we started planning a big revolution workshop for the New Year's. Rather than having a New Year's resolution workshop, we decided to have a revolution. And I said to help people break through their fear, we're going to bring in a little exercise, a little prop. It's going to be a snake. And as soon as I said snake, man, I got to tell you, now we're sitting in a circle in a room. There's no snake anywhere near. And Valerie immediately, she said, if you bring a snake, I'm telling you right now, I won't be there. I will leave the room. So, Valerie, am I telling that right?
That's absolutely right.
And so what happened over the coming months?
Well, so for the next few months, every time we talked about this workshop coming up, you were like, we're going to have a snake, and you kept bringing the snake up. And you tell me now that you were desensitizing me. But every time you'd bring it up, I'd be like, no, not now. I'm telling you, I'm leaving. I'm not staying in the room. So the workshop came, and I still remember Jason coming down the aisle with the snake, and I was way over, and I was helping facilitate the workshop, but, man, I got way over to the edge of the room, and I was like, okay, I'm not – well, it wasn't very much longer, and I kind of got up behind the snake, and I touched him, and, well, first of all, once I realized the snake had a name, his name is Nico, and he's about probably, 10 feet long, yellow Burmese albino python, and he's beautiful. But he's got a name, and his name is Nico, and I figured, you know what, any snake that has a name can't be all that bad.
Right.
So I touched him, and he's actually warm and soft, and he felt really nice. And I touched him again and again and again, and so by the time that segment was over, in the back of the room, Jason had the snake, and it wasn't long before I was up, and I touched him closer to his head, and it was pretty cool. Then at the end of the workshop, Scott loves to tell this story how
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott. I'll let you tell it.
Can I tell this part? Yeah, I love it. I love telling this part because I got to tell the emotion is like we had this long, exhausting workshop. We had a fire walk scheduled, and the county fire department came out, and for the first time ever in almost 50 fire walks, never had a problem. The fire department came out, and they put the fire out. And it just kind of really rained on our parade, and everybody was kind of down. It was very difficult. And, you know, the first wood that we had, it wouldn't catch on fire, so they scrambled around, a bunch of the staff members. They went out and they found more wood. They bought it from a local Home Depot in a big pallet, made new fires, had the thing ready, and then the fire department comes out and puts the fire out. So it was a very difficult day emotionally. But at the end of the day, we're having a staff meeting. We're all in a big circle, and I look around, and I'm like, where's Valerie? And I had a little anger in me. I was like, God, Valerie, come on. Let's get this meeting over with so we can review what's going, you know, what happened and what's going to happen next. And somebody looked over at me, and they said, she's upstairs. I'm like, what do you mean she's upstairs? We all agreed that we're having a meeting right now, and I know everybody's tired and wants to get home. And they said, Scott, she's up there with the snake. And I almost fell out of my chair because here's a woman who literally said, if you bring a snake into the room, I will leave. I won't even be there. She goes from that type of phobia, that's not just fear, that's phobia, to touching the snake, to eventually holding the snake, to eventually skipping her meeting to go up there and spend more time with the snake. So that's kind of how this stuff works. It's whatever you're most afraid of in life, usually there's going to be a huge gift there for you. If you break through that fear, whether it's skydiving or firewalking or holding snakes, a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't want to do all that stuff. And I'm like, it's just a metaphor. The snake, the firewalk, the jumping out of the plane, that's a metaphor for you taking that leap of faith. You know, if it's jumping out of the plane, you need to take a leap of faith in your business. Or maybe the fear of touching the snake is the fear, it represents the fear of being close and being intimate, maybe in a relationship. The fear of walking on fire represents the fear of getting burned. Maybe you got burned in a relationship, or you got burned in a business deal, and you've developed a generalization that says you can't trust men, or you can't trust women, or you can't trust, you know, business partners. They'll burn you, and you need to break through that, let go of that old story, and develop a new story. So that's why these experiences are useful, and you can't get these out of a book. So that, you know, and we could go on and on and on, couldn't we? I mean, we could interview dozens and dozens and dozens of people who've used this formula, not academically, but bioenergetically in their bodies. And that's what I want to invite anybody who's on this call. We're constantly doing stuff with the Adventure Club. We're constantly doing workshops, and we're going to be doing these weekly calls where we go over the, you know, the didactic, the mental side of this stuff, the techniques. But that's just kind of like, that's the map, all right? If you want to find the treasure, you're going to have to get out there and walk around through the jungle, down the beach, wherever, and you're going to have to dig. And that's what we're here to help you do. So with that, is there any other story? Is there anything, Stephanie or Valerie or Charles, is there anything else you guys want to say about this work, about these steps that we take people through to help them break through their fear and live the life of their dreams and develop more self-confidence? It's really simple stuff, isn't it? It's just sometimes we overcomplicate it. Anything else you guys want to say before we jump off this call?
Yeah, I'd like to say something, Charles.
Okay.
It's transformational. It opens up the whole world. You realize that you really can do whatever you want to do. And for me, I want to experience self-actualization, and I want to be a millionaire because I want to help people, and I want the power to do that.
Right on, brother. Well, I want to support you in getting all those things. You're a good man. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Valerie again. What I learned is that if I can accomplish these little fears like touching a snake or skydiving, I went skydiving with a group back in, I think it was November, life-changing experience. Zip lining, just all the different things that we do. If I can do those things, then I can go out and I can, in my business, I can talk to the CEO of a company or, so we all have fear of talking to the big man of a big company. But, man, now it's like, wow, I can skydive. Heck, what's talking to the CEO of a company? It's nothing. I can jump out of an airplane. So,
right.
Do it. Just go for it. Learn, dive into it and learn these techniques and go forward and make some real serious changes in your life.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you. You there, Stephanie? You got anything you want to wrap it up with? Anything you want to say?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is, doing these bioenergetic pieces. And, we're talking a lot about those because that's something that I think is really unique about this philosophy and this group of people is that we really get out and do stuff. I mean, I am a total analytical human being, and I wrote a blog the other day about, get out of your head. And it's the thing that I'm realizing is that as I do more of these activities and as I model Scott, he was a ranger, and at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, he was out doing all these bioenergetic experiences. I mean, if you guys have the opportunity or the desire to come and hang out, you will see that Scott really is he's willing to face his fear. So as I continue to model him and as I continue to do these activities and I feel the confidence inside of me, it's like a foundational core confidence system. And the more that I do these things, the more confident I get. So I just really want to talk about that because that's what this call is about, is that it's working. And I look forward to, continuing to see, other people come through because I get just as much out of seeing Charles face his fear and Valerie face her fear. I mean, we were at an event one time, and Valerie ran across the room to find a 50-pound, 10-foot boa constrictor. We all chased after her, and it was just so...
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, it was so amazing for me. I got so tickled and had such, I had a self-actualization moment when I saw Valerie just... And there's a picture of her on Facebook where she's beautiful, and her skin is brighter, and her eyes are brighter. And so I just look forward to seeing other people have the experience, and I appreciate, Valerie, Charles, and Scott supporting me and breaking through the fear. All these guys were there when I jumped off the tower. So I just really appreciate you, Scott, for what you're doing, and I appreciate you, Valerie, and Charles, for being a part of this. It means a lot to me, so thank you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, whoever's listening to this, if you've stayed with the call this long, I'm glad I reserved the extra 30 minutes. It's almost like what's coming up in me right now is I want to go to the front part of this and just cut out all the stuff I was talking about and just let this call be about what Charles said, what Valerie said, and what you said, because it really does come down to this, folks. If anybody out there has ever done anything, you can do it too if you just break through your fear and you take action. It's really that simple. Yes, be clear on your outcomes. Be crystal clear. Yes, change the stories in your head. Yes, stop living in fear and start living in uptime, in passion and courage and excitement, all these positive emotions. Change your actions. That's that fourth thing. Just get out and take action. Use your face. Use your body. Use your breath and your voice tone and all of the tools that will teach you on these weekly calls over and over and over and over and over again. Repetition is the mother of learning. But the main thing is if they can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I was a scared kid. I wouldn't even eat my lunch in the cafeteria. I ate it in the library. I was so scared. I went from that to being a U.S. Army Ranger. If I can do that, you can do anything you want to do. So your assignment for the week, go out and do something to break through your fear. Come back. We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about those 4 techniques again, and we'll have a totally different subject we're going to focus in on This week was about self-confidence and breaking through the fear. Next week, I'm going to introduce something really exciting. So be sure, if you haven't registered using the form that Stephanie set up, make sure and register. Just put your name and email in there, and that way we'll let you know whenever the new call is going to happen, when it's going to be, what time, what the dial-in number is, because it's probably going to, I think the dial-in number changes each week. Maybe it stays the same. I'm not sure. Maybe the passcode changes. Anyways, in any case, we want to make sure that you get the information so that even if you're not there, you can get the MP3 download and you can change your life using this powerful, powerful information. Thanks a lot for joining us on the call. Now I'm going to jump off here, leaving you with some really cool music. Have a great day. Break through your fear. Remember, the only thing that's standing between you and the life of your dreams is fear and those old BS stories that you tell yourself about why you can't do it. So get out, take action, break your fear, and we'll see you on the other side.